Welcome to this edition of Windsor Community Church video blog. It is Wednesday, the 22nd of April 2020. My name is Peter Dunn, the Senior Minister, and just to remind you that we are in Invercargill, New Zealand. Today I'm interviewing Simon and Judy Collins as my guest, and so to declare a bit of a conflict of interest at the start, Judy is my oldest daughter and Simon is my oldest son-in-law. So I have a personal interest in this conversation. So what we're going to be talking about is where they live and the impact of COVID-19 on where they live, on them personally, and we'll talk about some other things too. So I'll begin by asking, where do you live?
Thanks for having us on, Peter. We are in Cambodia in Southeast Asia, and we're in the capital city of Phnom Penh, and we've been here for almost 2 years now.
And Phnom Penh, how big is that?
Got roughly 2 million people, so about the size of Auckland. It's a quite compact city with lots of dense housing and people living, lots of extended family living in one home.
Mm-hmm. Now, in Invercargill, we often talk about the weather, and at the moment it's 11 degrees. So how close are you guys to 11 degrees at the moment?
We're quite far away. We're right in the middle of the hot season at the moment. So we're having days on end at roughly 36 degrees. So I sweat while standing still.
And it's not the hottest. I mean, it goes up just above 40.
Right.
So it's just a bit cooler at the moment.
Yeah, we had early rains this season, so it's been a little bit cooler than it was last year.
I cannot imagine that. You know, like I think we can get up to 32 or 33 here, and the whole city just stops. You know. Okay. Can you tell us where you actually live? You know, what type of community?
We live in what's called a bore. First of all, we live on the outskirts of Phnom Penh, sort of in the north, in a generally worker poorer area. But in this area, we live in what's called a bore, which is a small community of houses all joined together that are 4.5 meters in width. So we have about maybe 200 houses in this little community that are exactly the same, joined together, each one 4 meters in width.
Like Coronation Street.
Yeah, but like Coronation Street, and you share a wall with your neighbour, and they can hear kids fighting, and we can hear theirs. So it's definitely close community. And we don't have a yard or anything like that, so our house just opens onto the common street, just the same as all of our neighbours. But we're quite lucky that we live on a really quiet street with no public traffic in it.
Yeah. So the community is a Khmer community, local.
Yeah, predominantly Khmer, but there are a few other missionary families because we live close to the school that our kids go to. So it's quite convenient. So there's maybe, I guess, 4 or 5 other families in a neighbourhood of a couple of hundred households.
Yeah. So you mentioned other missionaries. So can you tell us what you do in Cambodia?
We're here with OMF, Overseas Missionary Fellowship, and I'm working as their field medical advisor. So I'm a doctor, a GP, was working in New Zealand. And I basically take care of the OMF workers in Cambodia, both in Phnom Penh and the countryside. And I also do a little bit of work in a public hospital here and working with the Christian Medical Fellowship.
Right, yeah.
And I do a whole range of various different things, mostly to do with team support of the missionaries here with OMF. And then obviously we've got our 3 kids here as well, so we're pretty busy with family life too.
Yeah,
especially since homeschool. homeschool started with the whole COVID-19 issues. So
yeah, so we're into week 6 of no school.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, people were only, we've just come to the end of week 4 here, really, with the shutdown. So with the COVID-19, how has that affected Cambodia?
Well, we got COVID-19 reasonably early on, so we're quite, Southeast Asia. We've got a lot of connections to other Asian countries, but the official numbers in Cambodia are still quite low. So I know New Zealand's got around 1,500 people diagnosed. We've got 122 diagnosed. So it's been a very slow case increase here. Whether or not that has to do anything with the amount of testing going on, I'm not sure. I'm not privy to that sort of information here. But numbers are looking reasonably low here, which is really good.
Yeah. So in your role as a doctor, have you come across it? Or is it just low level at the moment?
I've sent a couple of people for testing, but they've come back negative, fortunately. So yeah, no, I haven't come across it as yet.
Yeah. So as a family, because I don't know, what's happening in Cambodia, but as a family, how does the pandemic affect you? Like the schools are shut.
There was a really, I guess when the first couple of cases were confirmed, there was a big response within the wider community, particularly in Phnom Penh, where lots of people just chose to stay at home and self-isolate. Everyone wore masks straight away, and we probably saw maybe like a 70% drop in people just around and about the city. So that was in the first couple of weeks, and then 6 weeks ago, schools were closed down in response because our numbers at that stage were tracking really close to New Zealand. So the government, just put that direction in, and schools are being shut then. So for our particular family, we've just really stuck to our tiny neighbourhood with a couple of hundred households in it. But in the grand scheme of things, we've just really mostly stuck to 4 streets. There's a lot of concern within the wider community about the association of COVID with most of the confirmed cases being foreigners. So we just felt like with the concern within the wider community, it was just nicer for everyone if we just stuck close to home. And so the kids and I have mostly just been within our neighbourhood, but Simon's still working out in the community, so he'll go out every day. And you've noticed quite a big difference in the city in the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the traffic's right. I mean, it's be similar. Well, probably not as down as in New Zealand, but yeah, traffic's down about 90%, 80% of what it usually is. So
Wow. Yeah.
Traffic in Cambodia is a really unique thing. Usually, lots of motorbikes, lots of trucks, not many rules. But at the moment, it's a bit less crazy than it usually is.
I think that people have taken it really seriously and taken responsibility themselves. So there hasn't needed to be a direction for people to stay at home. Community have just chosen to do so as much as they can. So a lot of people are choosing that have the ability to work from home, and children are all home. Yeah, and I don't know what it's like outside of Phnom Penh. Whether some families have chosen to go back to their provinces, I don't know, but yeah, the city is definitely quieter than usual.
Yeah, that sounds a lot different than New Zealand, where everyone is getting cabin fever and it's increasing non-compliance with people. So that's really interesting. So does that?
I think
you carry on, Judy?
It's hot season here, so it's not nice to be outside anyway. It's just far too hot. So maybe there's a role in it as well. You want to be inside out of the sun.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And are the children coping all right too? Are the children coping?
Yeah, our kids are really happy. Yeah, our kids are really happy because in our little neighbourhood they've got some friends, and so there's no isolation here. So we're still letting them go out and play with their friends at this stage. So they're having the time of their lives. So I think it's harder for mum to try and balance life at home without access to our usual holiday type things. Like we can't go to the swimming pools and we can't go anywhere with air conditioning. So it's just trying to find things to do.
Right.
And small bounds.
Well, that was really all I was going to ask, because I know that people here are interested to see you and hear from you. And it's just, learning what's happening. And so before we close off, is there anything you would like to say? Say hi to people or?
Oh, definitely, yeah. We'd love to say hi to everyone at Windsor Community Church. It's great to be able to speak there a few years ago, and we look forward to coming back sometime towards the end of the year or the new year. But yeah, just one of the things I think is quite different in Cambodia in relation to this illness is that at the moment, most people in Cambodia work day-to-day jobs. They live day-to-day, money-wise. A lot of people are either tuk-tuk drivers, have house shops, or work in factories. And at the moment, a lot of the factories are closed or not getting orders from overseas. Most of the tuk-tuk drivers have no work because much less people commuting around the place. And a lot of the house shops are shut because of fear, or they're shut because, again, not much foot traffic going past. So I think the big problem here is the economic one. We don't have a lot of money in terms of Cambodian government to be able to subsidise things. So it's a bit different, perhaps, to New Zealand. I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't gone into a full lockdown or a full quarantine, because of concern about what happens when people cannot eat, if they cannot work. So at the moment, things seem okay.
I think the thing to remember is that Cambodia still is a developing country, and there's still many families that are living under the poverty line, so less than $2 American a day. And for some industries like the garment industry that have been really impacted, some wages have been cut more than half. So for people supporting families, that's pretty massive. And I think the difference here as well is that people go out and buy their food every day. There's no, lots of people don't have pantries or refrigerators or things like that. So I guess something that we're praying for is that your numbers do stay low here, because if things were to track similar to New Zealand, it'd be really, really difficult for a large amount of people.
A lot to think about and pray about. Well, it's been great to talk to you, and we'll be able to pray for you in an informed way over the next few weeks. And thank you for your time, and I hope you're not sweating too much with all the effort. And I can hear cold rain falling outside. So, So Simon and Judy, thank you very much, and God bless you both.
Thank you, Peter. God bless you. And we look forward to seeing you at some point when we can get home, if the airlines ever open up again.
Yeah, good point. Yep. Now, there's always a place here, and we look forward to it. All right, thanks. I'll see you later.
Bye.